I am the skater formerly known as Sass Squatch, and what I have today is a list of cautious and critical things to think about before you join roller derby. So I realize it might be on the way back up, and I have experiences from a place that admittedly are kind of negative, and I'm in a place of some cynical feelings because my roller derby career ended badly. Um, I try to remember that it was fun while it lasted, and there were a lot of good experiences and memories there, but the negative is kind of winning out right now. But regardless, here are some things that I've been told and experienced that you need to know before you start roller derby. Number one, it's not for everyone. We like to say it's for anyone. Anybody can do it. It's really fun. All body types are accepted. Every personality is accepted, but your mileage is going to vary on that. It's tiring, it's time consuming. Physically, you might not be capable of doing it right now on the level that you feel like you want or should be able to. There's a risk of injury. It's intense. There's a lot of reasons why roller derby might not be for you. And we tend to guilt people a little bit maybe when they can't make it, but it's a very specialized thing. So if it's not for you, it doesn't mean you're not good enough, you're not cool enough. It just might not be the thing for you right now. Number two, not everybody is your friend. It's a team sport. There's going to be conflicts, and ultimately, the league is important. Friendships come second. Um, there can also be cliques. Not all leagues are as trans accepting as you might want them to be. Just every league has a very different culture, and friendships vary, and your roles in the league vary. So not everybody's your friend. As much as you see the hugging and the jumping and everything, after a tournament win on YouTube, that might not be your experience. So don't go in expecting that. Generally lower your expectations, honestly, is what you can kind of get from this. Again, coming from a place of cynicism. It's really expensive. People tell you roller derby is expensive, and you go, oh, okay, but it's really expensive. You're going to drop at least $200 for skates your first time. After that, you're going to want to upgrade to $400, $500 skates. Protective gear, it's $70, $80 for decent knee pads. You might be able to skimp on gear just to kind of get in and get by and say, yeah, I have my elbow pads, let me play. But I used a pair of free knee pads for a year or two from the free bin, and it did a lot of damage. So skimping on gear is not a good choice. You're going to want to replace your wheels, your toe stops, you've got league dues, you've got uniforms to buy. All of that adds up. So really expensive. Be prepared for that. Number four, no matter how much you do on the league, no matter how much you volunteer, how much you put in blood, sweat, and tears, you're not going to be appreciated in the way you think you might deserve. It's just a bitterness and resentment that I've seen built up, and that I've seen built up in myself, where it's like, oh, I do all this stuff for the league, and just nobody thanks me, and it can happen. If you do a lot, you might be expecting something in return, even if you're not aware of it. So sometimes you might get a thank you card, you might get a round of applause, you might get an award or something, but it might ultimately not feel satisfying. So when you're signing up to volunteer for something, when you're taking on a league role, just be careful and keep that in mind, that you might not get the appreciation you think you deserve. Number five, injuries are a rule and not an exception. They happen to everybody. It's when, not if. So I've been injured in several ways. I strained my IT band within my first couple of months. I needed a knee brace. I had to go to urgent care. I needed physical therapy. I was in crutches just because my body wasn't ready. I didn't stretch enough. It just wasn't ready for all the activity. Excuse me. I fell on an elbow pad, and somehow that split the skin, and I needed stitches, which is like, what? It was a hot night. We were having practice. Somebody fell on the ground. There was sweat. I slipped in the sweat and sprained my ankle. Injuries, they never seem to happen in glorious ways. I've been to tournaments or games where somebody has like had a bad injury, like a broken ankle or something. But it's really funny and unexpected how many injuries happen in stupid ways. It's not glorious. Like, it is really funny how not glamorous injuries can be. Also, there is life after derby. So if you feel like you have to power through, like, oh, I had a concussion or I had a broken leg, but I've got to keep going, this is just a, you know what? Derby has a lifespan of several years, maybe like 7 if you're super awesome at it and, really put a lot into it. But do you want to spend the next 30, 40, 50 years of your life with a limp, with brain damage from concussions, just with a permanent ACL like twinge that you can't get rid of? So when you're talking about injuries, be aware that they happen. They can have long-term effects, and you need to know when to stop, when to take a break, when to take them seriously. Number 6, bullying, sexual harassment, general creepiness, they happen. Again, for all the talk of sisterhood and community and togetherness and all of that kind of thing, creepers get in. On my league, there was a man who was taking pictures of people when they were getting dressed and undressed at practice. You take the shirt off, you got the bra, and you're like, whatever, we're among friends. But there's creepers. Another person on my league apparently was trying to take pictures of a referee in a locker room, which is why I stopped changing along with the males in the locker room. It felt stupid. I felt embarrassed, but it just, you know what? I lost that trust in people. Number 7, do not move in with derby people. Do not buy a car from derby people. Do not buy a house from derby people. I've seen people get screwed over this way. Just because your friend's on the league does not mean they're a trustworthy person in real life. Doesn't mean you're necessarily compatible, as roommates or anything. Derby ultimately is a pretty thin connection as far as converting over to real life experience. Somebody bought a house, they didn't have the washer dryer included. The seller tore them out before their friend moved in, their derby friend. Could have gone to the small claims court, but my friend was like, no, we don't want to cause team drama. Another friend moved in with a derby person. The derby person ended up being abusive, terrorized them, was just nasty. Be really careful. Derby friendship does not equal real life friendship. Number 8, do not make derby your life. It is so tempting, and I think we all do it to an extent. We say, oh my gosh, derby is this amazing healing thing, and it can be. Derby fills this hole in my life. It can. But there's a threshold you cross when derby becomes all-consuming and just everything. And you have to realize that when you cross that threshold, you have a lot to lose. We joke about, oh, I can't this weekend, I have derby. I never see my actual friends anymore. My family, they come to all my games and that's all we do. But there can be a cost to that. You need to maintain a certain sense of balance and know that what are you going to do without derby? This is why sports psychology is a thing after injuries and whatnot. People get depressed. They feel a sense of loss and grief when this sport, this way of life suddenly leaves them. So balance is key. Knowing when to step back is key. Am I actually having fun? Is this good for me? Am I actually feeling good about this, or has it transformed into something? So number 9, have fun. Well, it's fun. And if it's not fun anymore, take a break. You can come back. So a little bit about me. I played for about 5 years. I was kind of the underdog story. So I started when I just never worked out and everything. I sucked for years. I eventually worked my way up to the A team, which was a huge accomplishment for me. I was on the board of directors. I volunteered as a referee and an official. I did a lot of stuff. I went to the WFTDA International Conference when that was a thing. I just was really super involved. So this is stuff that I have learned. And I have a couple fun things to end with. I think that's enough about me. Pick your derby name really carefully. Don't go with the first thing you think of. get out there a little bit, get to know what the names are out there. I thought it was so cool for having the name Sass Squatch. There's like a Sass Squatch on every team in roller derby. Like I meet Sass Squatches all the time. And I'm sorry to be disappointing again, but no matter how badass you feel when you're on the track, you look derpy in photos and videos. It's just embarrassing. There's no way around it. It's such a shame. I'm like, oh man, I remember that play. It was so awesome. And I caught that girl and like kicked her ass. Just like boop in video. Oh, lame. So hopefully this has been helpful. I just wanted to counteract all the crazy gushing that you hear about roller derby. It changed my life. It saved my life. Um, it is this huge part of me. I've learned so much and I've grown so much as a person. But there are crappy parts, and I ultimately went into derby with these huge expectations and was ultimately let down. Um, and just it's funny how these things get you down. You normalize them, make excuses for them. So I just want you to be prepared as you enter roller derby. Take with a grain of salt, really assess whether it's the thing for you, and make good educated decisions while you're there. Have fun, do what you can do. If it's not your thing, if it's not working out, if one of these issues affects you, hey, take a step back, walk away. So have a good day and happy skating.